Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. Dawes County Board of Commissioners work session. Today's Thursday, October the 1st, 2020. Appreciate your attendance and appreciate those that are online with us virtually. We'll get right into new business. First up, we have discussion of impact fees. Planning and Development Director Jamison Kinley. Jamison.
Thank you, Chairman. So as y'all know, impact fees are capital improvement elements that public facilities that are designed to provide services to our community. We collect those through impact fees through our capital improvement element. It's an improvement with a useful life of 10 years or more. So that is what a capital improvement is. It has to have a lifespan of 10 years. Dawson County reinstated impact fees in August 2018 at 100%. In March of 2019, the Board of Commissioners reduced the roads and fire from 100% to 25%, with the intent of the reduction to make commercial development in Dawson County more competitive with surrounding areas. At that time, it was requested by the board that we revisit this subject every 6 months to ensure that collection rate in Dawson County is where Dawson County wants and needs to be to still support our levels of service that we provide to our citizens. Since 2018, this county has collected $2.4 million in impact fees, with over $1.2 million coming from this year alone. We've done over close to 550 building permits this year that collected those impact fees. So we collect those impact fees at the building permit stage, and we collect that through planning and development. We're right now with the growth in the county right now, we're about 10% higher than we were in August through August of last year. So that kind of gives you an idea. 2018 was probably one of the biggest. We saw the most building permits out of any year in the last 10 years. 2019 was slightly lower than that, and we are projected to do probably 10% or more greater building permits this year. So just to show you that we're growing.
Majority of those building permits are residential building permits or commercial?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. The vast majority of those are
Can you break that down and tell us what it is for residential and what it is for commercial?
absolutely.
And they're 100% residential.
Residential's 100%.
So and then we reduce, so we have 4 different categories of impact fees, and those go into fire, roads, library, and the Parks and Rec. So we divide up in those 4 categories. We reduced the fire and roads from the 100% down to 25%. So that did affect both commercial and residential, but it mainly affected the commercial. The commercial went down probably close to 70%, whereas the residential probably went down 3 or 4% as far as what we were collecting. So essentially, in hindsight, you can say that it was the commercial that we were dramatically impacting. As far as the numbers of building permits, we've done 546 this year alone. 200 well over half of those 255 of those were homes. And as far as commercial permits, we've done about 60. So 60 of those came through our commercial permitting process, which probably holds, a large chunk, because commercial processes are also, our apartments and other things. So
Is that this year?
that's this year.
60.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
far.
Okay. But is there a dollar mark, or maybe you said it and I missed it, for
You want broken down?
broken
from-
down commercial and residential?
Broken down
How
commercial.
much did we get in commercial at the 25%?
I actually do not have that number in front of me. I apologize for that.
Because that 1.2 million looks exciting,
So
but when you really break it down, I don't think with the commercial, it's hard.
So this year we have collected for fire protection, we've collected a little over $100,000. For road projects, we've collected just shy of $50,000 at $48,000. Library services, we've collected $247,000. And Parks and Rec, we've collected $786,000. And see, and those are based on our capital improvement projects. Like we know that in Parks and Rec, we were also including the senior center in that, which was a major expense. And I'm pretty sure we've probably used some of those impact fees toward the senior center. And that's on our, in our capital improvement element. So Parks and Rec was one of those things that we also identified things like acquiring land. So we don't really know what those areas, but we need to have to set aside money. So we try to keep up a certain levels of service that is in our capital improvement element that we provide to our citizens. And that's based on like, you know, however many our population at the time, which if I may mention, you know, we just ended, yesterday was the last day to fill out our census. We're going to start seeing the census people start coming around and knocking on doors, which is important, but the census is going to.
They extended it to the 5th.
Did they? Okay. So, which is important because we're going to actually see all of our stuff so far in the last 10 years has been based on projected numbers, right? Where are we going to be? We can look at the building permits, but that doesn't necessarily mean that next year we might have a whole lot more building permits. Next year we might have a whole lot less. So, you know, it's kind of a year by year. We got to look at development as it comes, and that census is greatly important to have that standard mark. So we should be able to see where we're at right now and have a better projection moving forward. With that said, it's just, are we keeping up the questions that this board needs to answer is, are we keeping up levels of service? And I would encourage the board to talk to each one of the individual, I call them boots on the ground, but they're our directors, you know, from fire and Parks and Recs and the library and the roads department. They know the levels of service. They get the calls. They know exactly where our strong points are and our weak points are. And is this our impact fees? Are we collecting enough? And we also have to keep in mind that this isn't the only source of revenue for these capital improvement projects. Now, we still have SPLOST, we still do grants, we still do a lot of other things. But this impact fee is a great way to supplement all those other expenditures. So we have to look at all as a whole, and I know it's kind of hard to put all that into a single presentation. But we're growing. That's just a fact. And we're planned growth is always better. And this impact fees is a great way to do that.
I tell you, one of the things that if we zoom out globally that concerns me is the fact that, and the city had the opportunity to vote on their own impact fees and chose not to. So development that builds a residential 100, 150, whatever the number is, house development inside city limits does not have impact fees. And matter of fact, we have a rezoning request that's been before us recently of a development that would be just sitting on the border of Dawson County and the city. Obviously they're annexing in, so it's right on the edge. But, you know, these dollars go to help, as to your point, offset some of the challenges that we have with infrastructure growth and maintaining the levels of service. Parks and Rec is a prime example. Every house that moves into city limits has a nice park behind Food Line, which is great. But when it comes to active parks, the county, you know, that falls on the back of the county without impact fees there.
Well, you can't do the stuff there that you can do in some of the county parks.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. The active,
Different
it's different. Exactly.
Yes,
And
I mean,
so
it's nice, but it's
I'd like to have us in from your perspective, Jameson, you may already be doing this, but encouraging conversations with them to see how and what they're doing potentially to set aside to help fund some of these things, maybe as a ancillary source of funding revenues that they have access to that we don't, maybe towards these parks and towards the fire and towards the things that we bear the burden on when it comes to impact for all new development that happens there.
Absolutely.
Well, then you said the questions to ask people, and the first one, are we keeping up their levels of service? Were there any more questions that needed to be asked?
Well, and then that goes back to the general question is, it brings us to this discussion is, are we collecting enough? And, those kind of specific questions really boiled down to it are better asked to our directors. And levels of service is the ultimate question. That's what we provide to the city, the citizens of Dawson County. And that's our ultimate goal, is to serve them.
Do you have much pushback from people when they have to pay these impact fees?
Every day.
Okay. It's a lot of ugly words,
You
but they still pay it, don't they? And it
They
just
have
keeps
to, they
coming.
get a permit.
we don't issue the permit without it. So
Do what? Yeah, they go to the city, they rezone. Yeah, they do that. And I mean, there's a lot of houses. How far along is that one on 9? Do you have any idea?
And south,
Yeah,
the Adams Homes project,
the-
and they should start going vertical construction, I would say, just on the outside looking in, driving down the road relatively soon. It's set vacant for a while.
yeah,
I think
So
that-
John Pinion property is what I call it. And do you know how many houses is gonna be in there? Like 170 or 80? Y'all remember?
Yeah. it's
I
about-
remember at one
I
time.
think you're right, somewhere in that.
I think you've ballparked it fairly well. And I was going to say 180. And I don't have that number in front of me, but yeah, they are, the site is looking good, and they're going to be going vertical here soon.
But
So
they
we'll see
don't, that's
those-
the city and they don't pay impact fees, do they?
Correct. Yeah, and the whole
There's just something wrong here.
The whole dilemma is, for every residential unit that we have that's put on the ground in Dawson County, whether it's inside the footprint of the city or not, or outside the city, is a demand on resources that we have. However, every business that comes, there's not only an impact, a positive financial impact from taxes, the inventory taxes, sales taxes, things that they generate, but they also generate a job, which that person turns around and pays when they go buy goods and services. So you can look at the statistics, and businesses create revenue for your whole community, whereas the residential units are a detriment on your service delivery. But you got to have it. So I think to me, that's why I do like where we're at with charging the most we can on the residential and trying to be in line with our neighbors on the commercial, which is a lower amount. And our neighbor includes city limits of Dawsonville. Well, we could have a company come in and want to locate inside there and not outside that footprint and not pay anything. So it's a balancing act that we have to do. And to Jameson's point, we have a lot of other resources that we lean on. I would venture to say, you go around and ask every single one of the department heads, do you got everything you want? I guarantee you're not going to have one that says yes. But we do have many
That's-
other resources.
Better have your thermometer with you, because if they say yes, they got a fever.
Other questions for James? Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Commissioner, I'll get you those numbers.
So we're gonna keep doing this every 6 months. Is that what
I
we're
like
saying?
it.
Oh, I do too. I just want to know if
That's the
that's
plan.
set in stone. And you keep up with the 6 months? Who keeps up with it?
I do.
You do? Well, I should have. Well, good. Keep up with
I'm making a
it.
note right now, so.
Okay.
Next up, we have County Manager Report. Ms. Vicky's going to give that today.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Yes, I'm the stand-in today.
Well, we've got
All right.
lots of questions.
Okay, that's great. Bring it on. First off, the shore sweep was held on September 26th, and there was 26.67 tons, or 53,340 pounds of trash, which was loaded and hauled to the Dawson County Transfer Station. Employees from Public Works, Parks and Rec, and Facilities worked a total of 77 hours, and there were numerous volunteers who also put in many hours. Also, we kicked off the virtual Citizens Government Academy this week with videos from Chairman Thurman and the county manager. Videos are posted on Dawson County Government's Facebook and Twitter accounts, and we encourage our citizens to take a look at these videos at a time convenient to them. Also, budget presentations for fiscal year 2021 will be held on October 12th, and 13th, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. each day. And right now, there are 12 departments and agencies that we're in the process of getting them scheduled. Because of COVID, we didn't have everyone come in like we normally do. The chairman looked through all the budgets, and who he wanted to come before you all were the departments and agencies who had significant increases or personnel or capital requests. So, and also last but not least, the chairman will be having a birthday on October the 9th. So someone other than myself should lead happy birthday. Do you have any questions?
Questions for Ms. Vicky?
Is there a way of telling how many people are watching those virtual learning or the
Citizens
Citizen
Academy.
Academy?
I'm sure Laura can let
Yes,
you know.
ma'am. Once they're posted, I can go on and send you a report as to how many views there have been or how many shares have also been made.
Good, good. I'd love that because to see how successful it's been. Thank you.
Other questions for Ms. Vicky?
All right, well, who wants to volunteer to sing?
Sharon?
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ben. Chairman, okay. Happy birthday to you.
Lord has blessed me to live almost 61 years, so to make it till the 9th, I'll be there. All right, appreciate that. Next up, we have the county attorney report. Sir, do you have anything to report?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman, other than there will be an executive session following the
Voting
regular
session.
meeting tonight.
All right. Anybody got any questions for the county attorney? All right. With that being said, that's all the business we have in the work session. We will take a few minutes to get ready for the voting session, and we'll be back. Thank you for your attendance, both here and online. Thank you.